What is up, guys? Welcome back to FPL. FPL has launched and the fixtures have not been released yet, but I sort of like this because it gives me a chance to look at all the players and their prices and really evaluate how I feel about it in a long-term sense without that opinion being tainted by how good their fixtures are to start with. So I have made a team, and a lot of these players are fixture dependent, especially the cheaper ones. Obviously, the cheaper players are generally on worse teams, and worse teams are more affected by having bad fixtures or good fixtures. So here's the team. Right now I have Matt Ryan in goal. Now Matt Ryan is 4.5, and I'm probably going to be looking for a 4.5 goalkeeper. Maybe a set and forget. Maybe I get another 4.5 goalkeeper if I have an extra 0.5 to spend and I could rotate. Other than that, I'm just looking for one with solid fixtures. So obviously fixtures aren't released yet. I know Ryan is a solid goalkeeper. He'll get a solid amount of points. Can't go too wrong with him, but if the fixtures are terrible, I will look elsewhere. I think the defense is going to be interesting. So right now I have double Wolves defense and Trent Alexander-Arnold. This is the strongest defense in any of my drafts that I've had. I think going without Trent Alexander-Arnold is viable only because you can get 4.5 million defenders that could potentially keep up with him if he's not getting the assists, because I am a little bit worried about Liverpool's defensive capabilities, only because they just won the title, so they may be a little bit complacent from a hard work standpoint, which is really needed to keep clean sheets. Now, is that based on any evidence? No, but I guess so, because we have seen in the past, after a team wins a title, the next year they sort of start off slow. I remember starting off with Ivanovic after Chelsea's dominant run. They were coached by Mourinho, so I guess they sort of fell off for other reasons as well. But the same thing happened with City at the start of last season. It was just an average amount of clean sheets, I guess, but they weren't defending as well as you would expect them to. And that could happen with Liverpool. But Trent Alexander-Arnold is only 7.5, and I say only because I sort of expected him to be 8 this season, and he's still got great assist potential. I think that over the course of the season, he was unlucky in terms of not getting as many assists as he could have, so we could see a bounce back in that perspective, and he could get more assists this season. Obviously a great FPL option, and he'll probably get over 200 points this season, but you have to keep in mind there are 4.5 defenders that will probably be doing well, and the same can't be said about midfielders and attackers. You sort of need to spend the money there in order to get the points. So I am considering a team without Trent Alexander-Arnold, but we'll discuss later what that team would look like. One player that will most likely be in my Gaming 1 team is Vinagre. Now, he's 4.5, and he's going to be starting for Wolves because Johnny, their other left back, is out indefinitely. And Wolves are obviously great defensively, especially with Willy Bali in the team. Once he came back, like for the restart, they were defending much better, and they defend very well at home, which is why I also have Doherty in the team. Now, he's obviously got a lot of attacking potential as well. And only 6 million, I expect him to be 6.5, so I think he's good value. Right now, I'm actually leaning towards Doherty over Trent Alexander-Arnold in terms of overall value, but of course, fixtures can change everything. I like the look of Charlie Taylor at 4.5. I think that's great value. Instead of getting Nick Pope as a 5.5 goalkeeper, the defenders like Taylor and Peters can be great value on Burnley. Moving into the midfield, Salah's pretty much nailed into the team. Even if Liverpool may start a little slow because of complacency, I think Salah will want to get goals, and he will be doing well. As always, it's Salah. I'm going to have him on my team. I sort of expected him to cost 12.5, so 12 is a good value for me. Fernandes, almost certainly in my Gaming 1 team. A lot of people are talking about not getting him because they're just speculating that Manchester United don't get as many penalties. I don't see any reason to believe that. I see him picking up where he left off at the end of last year and continuing to play well. And we got to remember, how good was he doing? He was getting returns every game. Yes, he's 10.5. He's 1 million more than Rashford. You can get Greenwood for 7.5, but it's Fernandes. He's on free kicks, penalties, and set pieces and whatnot. And he's central to Manchester United's attack. A lot of times I feel like Rashford gets caught out wide too much, sort of like when Sterling goes through cold streaks because he's playing too out wide for City. I feel like that's what happens with Rashford sometimes. Although he's a good option at this price, especially being reclassified as a midfielder this year, I like Fernandes more, and I'm willing to spend the 1 million more because of the penalties and set pieces and the centralness to the team that Fernandes' role really is. I have debated a lot between De Bruyne and Sterling, but I've decided to go with Sterling simply because he plays further forward and because I'm not too sure if KDB is stuck on penalties. that would swing it one way or the other. But Sterling has taken some penalties recently for Man City, so I guess that's just completely up in the air. Sterling did regain some form towards the end of the season, so I'm hoping he's able to continue that. And he did start off last season with a brace, so maybe he can do that again. But this is sort of, hey, good Man City attacker. I feel like I got to have one of them on my team. De Bruyne or Sterling, most likely to play 90 minutes. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to throw one of them in the team and hope they don't suffer too much to pep roulette. So that's the best I got for the Man City player pick. My other midfielder at the moment is St. Maximin. Now, this could change depending on fixtures, but he's only 5.5. I expect him to be 6. I must say it's ridiculous that Joe Wellington is 6. He's the same price as Ayew and Mitrovic, which is way too high. But St. Maximin, so he's actually not played bad. Last season, he averaged a goal or an assist every 232.5 minutes, so that's every 2 or 3 games. Not bad for a 5.5 midfielder, and I must say, I personally think he looked better towards the end of the season, so maybe he can continue that form. A lot of this does depend on how many goals I think Newcastle are going to score in the early fixtures, so again, this could change. And if I do decide to go without one of the big defenders, probably Trent Alexander-Arnold, that could give me another $3 million, and that could make St. Maximin in the Pulisic if he's healthy, which is something I'm very interested in because I think Chelsea will have a good attack. And right now I don't have any of their attackers. I could also go I could get the $3 million from Trent Alexander-Arnold down to 4.5, and I could go St. Maximin down to Susek, and then that would give me enough money to go from Shea Adams or a $6 million striker to Timo Werner, which would also be very good. Yes, I'm not considering St. Maximin as a locked-in part of my team, but I think at 5.5 he can provide some good value. I have looked at Bowen and Trossard. I like their goals and assists per 90 minutes. I think it's actually better than St. Maximin's, but at their price, I'm not necessarily sure they're worth it because there is some rotation risk with those players, especially Trossard. And they're both on bad teams as well. So I think I'm just going to go with the cheaper option here because there is some uncertainty there. At the moment, my 2 cheap strikers are Mitrovic and Adams. Mitrovic, I've gotten him because he's $6 million. He's nailed on for Fulham, and he's been in EPL before, and he's shown that he can produce good underlying stats at least and score a decent amount of goals. Last season in the EPL, he had 11 goals and 4 assists, which is pretty good, and it shows me that he's not going to be a complete flop in the EPL. He's going to come in and he's going to be an EPL level player that can potentially get some goals if he has good fixtures. Also, he started the season pretty well last time in the EPL, so that's what I'm looking for at the moment. Again, if he has good fixtures, I think he's going to be in the team. He should be on penalties for Fulham, so he's a solid option. I'm not going to overthink it. Shea Adams is one that I'm very uncertain about, but I'm just looking at his goals and assists per 90 minutes. He also had a lot of chances that he missed, and I think if he just is able to put them away, things could be very different in terms of if he puts the early ones away as the season starts, and he could really gain confidence, and hopefully that would mean that his XG that he had could really contribute to more goals and not just be XG without scoring any goals. So his goals plus assists per 90 minutes is 136.875 last season. That's pretty good for his price. That's actually very good. I think it's important to sort of find out how likely he is to play every game and to play 90 minutes every game. Because yes, this number may be good, but if he's only playing 68 minutes per game, then all of a sudden he's less likely to score goals. But given that he's pretty young, you would think that he should be developed a little bit and given a chance to start the season, especially because he did seem to gain more confidence and gain more form as the season went on last season. So I'm hoping for the best with this pick at the moment. Obviously, this could change with bad fixtures. I wouldn't trust Southampton that much, but I think he's a solid option. My final starter in this preliminary team is Anthony Martial. Now, I've mentioned how good Fernandes did at the end of last season, and basically Martial was even better. So if Man United can continue their form, Fernandes and Martial have already shown how many points they can score. Martial was great at home, and he was okay on the road, which makes him a predictable option, which is good for captaincy. But he's also only $9 million, and if I think about it, if he was 9.5, the same price as Werner, or maybe 10, or 10.5, or the same price as Kane, something like that, would I still be considering him? I think I would. I think I would genuinely be considering him at those prices. If he was 8.5, I would definitely have him in my team. So just sort of thinking about it that way, I'm like, why would I not have him in? I mean, he's nailed in the start. Always shown that he's not really rotating much, especially not in the Premier League. So I think this is a locked in for me. I think I'm going to have Fernandes and Martial game week 1 unless the fixtures are absolutely horrible. And let's not forget that at the end of last season, everybody had a Manchester United triple up. Everybody had Bruno, Martial, or maybe Rashford or Greenwood to go along with that. And I've also had some drafts with Greenwood in them. I think that it is nice that there's less rotation risk unless they sign Jadon Sancho. But again, Ole loves playing the same lineup. So if they don't sign Sancho, I think Greenwood's a nailed-on 7.5 starter for Manchester United as a right wing, the team that was scoring hella goals at the end of last season. So I think Manchester United is attacked. Obviously, people are getting their players, but I think they're being a little bit underlooked from what I've seen. And I'm currently liking the look of this double up. I'd say the biggest thing that's missing from this team is a Chelsea attacker. I would really like Pulisic if I know he's healthy, but that's how the team stands right now. If you made this far in the video, I'm sure I'll make plenty of videos about this in the future, but I'm a part of the Road to FPL Glory. You should check out Ajit Dillon on Twitter as well as at FPL_GFCT. All that will be in the description. Basically, me and 5 other FPLers who I think are quality people and quality FPLers will be making a bi-weekly newsletter as well as we'll be hosting a Telegram chat. Basically, you can just come on and talk all about FPL. We will be dedicated to sort of gathering information and doing research about how do we help people just sort of, how do I say this, become like benchmark, like, I don't know, top 50K, top 15K, top 10K players. Like, how do you just become good at the game in a way where you can consistently get good ranks, even if it's nothing amazing? Like, how do you think about FPL in a way that can really improve your play for new players or for anybody that's just struggling in certain aspects? I think it'll be great. We'll just get together and discuss how to be better at FPL and see if we can come up with, ways to think about the game that can really help. And that will include a bi-weekly newsletter where we just put together some of the research that we've gathered, some of the data, and some of our basic thoughts on things. There's no money involved or anything like that. We're basically just doing it for, hey, we like FPL and we think it'll be fun. Anyway, welcome back to FPL. I hope you enjoyed your break. I enjoyed my break. I've been trying to prolong my break a little bit, but I decided to make this video because I am genuinely really interested in FPL again, as I always am at the beginning of the season. Hopefully you are too. Subscribe if you want more videos. I'll be making plenty before the season starts and weekly ones after the season starts. So I'll see you next time.
I'ma tell it how I know it.
K-Dub, 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 K-Dub.
Ain't no cap in my crowd.